Kairos has arrived. Hello and welcome everyone to Histories of the Gates. Today we will be continuing on with The Art of War and Oblivion Original after our interesting occurrence with the attempt at the remaster. And as ever, we will be trying to pick and parse out all of the details that this historic, significant document of the Art of War presents for us in all of its military might, in all of its deception and tactics and logistics and considerations and appraisals of everything that has to do with the battlefield as it was once seen on misty and fiery days and nights in ancient China, according to Sun Tzu. And alongside, visiting the old classic, which I'm sure everybody is familiar with, but if you are not of that generation of gamers as I, it is a rather marked turn in the action RPG world with some classic RPG elements to it, heavily inspired by it as a matter of fact, and it was one of the pivoting points where a fully realized 3D world had come into reality, had properly been manifested by the hard labor of so many, and alongside, given that it's a rather old piece of media, it has a lot of its jank of the era and of its development studios and partners. So not only is it quite a fun and interesting experience on the basis of the historic lens and pivot into it, but also the way that we are playing it as an attempted pacifist run as much as we can manage against what we might call the normal folk of the world, alongside the analytic lens that we'll be reviewing it through. It gives us some insight and fun alongside taking a look at a genuine classic. But without further ado, and a small adjustment here, we will get into the housekeeping, which is very minimal. Really, the only thing to report, aside from reminding everyone, next stream, that is the week after the next, we will have the introduction of one of the major game documents in its close to final draft form, in what I will give the term here, protontology. And if you've spoken with me off-platform of YouTube, you probably heard a little bit about this, but it will be the systemic overview, the sort of top-level thesis that will be one of the foundational documents, not only in making explicit my core philosophies and outlooks on the world, but also as an underlying system of the threefold, manifold TTRPG, very interestingly. Ooh. And I am, of course, as ever, continuing to play with the filters and try and eliminate all of the little crackles and issues and things that come along with being a self-taught individual in the lenses and lanes of audio production, especially in a less than ideal setup. So, please do, if you find it worth your time and you might want to see this platform improve, offer your feedback, if you will. And besides all these, now we turn to the art of war. And thankfully, our panic crop from the birth of tragedy is still just as good for this one. Get a range here. And if you are unfamiliar with this portion, here we are recording the audiobook section, and then we will be following with gameplay in the aforesaid Oblivion. And between the major points, between the major chapters or segments or what have you, we will be, of course, doing our recaps of everything that we just went over in Microcosm, and then we will be doing replies. So this is a live, truly behind the scenes opportunity to see someone who is continuing to try and find their way throughout this art of crafting a proper audiobook, and specifically on documents that are of significance, at least in my eyes and perhaps in yours, and extracting some contemporary value or even historic. Alongside, do keep in mind I am not a native Chinese speaker, nor am I especially familiar with the anglicized pronunciations which are being presented here, which themselves tend to be rather, let's say, not necessarily accurate to the original Chinese pronunciations of the time. So I will be leaning on the help of translations and pronunciation guides throughout the audiobook portion. But let's get into it. In case any of you are wondering as well, the last portion, since it did not entirely capture the entirety of the introduction, will be released alongside the other portions. So if you see a delay in any of the releases of The Art of War, that is because I am not because I am slacking, I should say, but rather because I am recording them and editing them in parts and then compiling them together into one singular piece so that we don't have a bunch of fragments. And in this case, I believe it will be part by part for the introduction, and then we can finally get on to the actual book itself. In point of literary style, Sun Tzu's work belongs to the same school as Quan Tzu. And right off the bat, now I believe I have the right pronunciations for these, but I'd rather be safe than sorry. Yep, okay. Quan Tzu, Liu Tao, Yue Yu. Okay, I was right. Very good. In the point of literary style, Sun Tzu's work belongs to the same school as Quan Tzu, and in point of literary style, Sun Tzu's work belongs to the same school as Quan Tzu, the Liu Tao, the Liu Tao, and the Yue Yu, and may have been the production of some private scholar living towards the end of the spring and autumn, or the beginning of the Warring States period. The story that his precepts were actually applied by the Wu state is merely the outcome of big talk on the part of his followers. From the flourishing period of the Chou... let's get that analyzed. Whoop. And then fling ourselves down. That, incidentally, would be a result of the new mouse that I got. The old Logitech 502. Ah, so it's Cho. I was right. Had certainly seen its better days. But this new scroll wheel is especially sensitive, and I'm not quite attuned to it yet. From the flourishing period of the Chou dynasty down to the time of the spring and autumn, all military from the flourishing period of the Chou dynasty down to the time of the spring and autumn, all military commanders were statesmen as well, and the class of professional generals for conducting external campaigns did not then exist. It was not until the period of the Six States that this custom changed. Now, although Wu was an uncivilized state, it is conceivable that so should have been left. Now, although Wu was an uncivilized state, is it conceivable that so should have left unrecorded the fact that Sun Wu was a great general and yet held no civil office? What we are told, therefore. Let's get that properly cited. Zhangchu. I'm glad my intuition was right there. What we are told, therefore, about Zhangchu and Sun Wu is not authentic matter, but the reckless fabrication of theorizing pundits. But the reckless fabrication of theorizing pundits. But the reckless fabrication of theorizing pundits. The story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women in the story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women. The story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women in this. The story of Ho Lu's. The story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women in. The story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women in. The story of Ho Lu's experiment on the women, in particular, is utterly preposterous and incredible. Ye Shui Sin represents Sima Qian as having said that Sun Wu crushed Chu and entered Ying. This is not quite correct. No doubt the impression left on the reader's mind is that he at least shared in these exploits, but the actual subject of the verbs. Let's get that. Ho. To break or destroy. To break or destroy. Ru. Ru. To enter. Wei. Power or prestige. Jian. Jian. To show or manifest. and jian, to show or manifest. Is certainly Hei Lu. Is certainly Hei Lu. To close or to shut. A hut or cottage. As is shown by the next words. Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. Yu. Yo Li Yin. Yo Li. Yo Li Yin. Yo Li Yin. Yo Li Yin. Yo Li Yin. Sun Tzu and those who are powerful. Sun Tzu and those who are powerful. The fact may or may not be significant, but the fact may or may not be significant, but it is nowhere explicitly stated in the Shi Chu either that Sun Tzu. The fact may or may not be significant, but it is nowhere explicitly stated in the Shi Chu either that Sun Tzu was general on the occasion of the taking of Ying, either that Sun Tzu was general on the occasion of the taking of Ying, or either that Sun Tzu was general on the occasion of the taking of Ying, either that Sun Tzu was general on the occasion of the taking of Ying, or that he even went there at all, Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei, I believe that's Bo Pei if I recall rightly. Nope, okay. Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei both took part in the expedition, Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei both took part in the expedition, Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei both took part in the expedition, bloody hell. Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei both took part in the expedition, and also that its success was largely and also that its success was large and also that its success was largely due to the dash and enterprise of Moreover, as we know that Wu Yuan and Po Pei both took part in the expedition, and also that its success was largely due to the dash and enterprise of Fu Gai, Holu's younger brother, it is not easy to see how yet another general could have played a very prominent part in the same campaign. Qin Zin Sun. Qin Zin Qin Jin Sun of the Sung dynasty has the note. Military writers look upon Sun Wu as the father of their art, but the fact that he does not appear in the Souchuan, but the fact that he does not appear in the, but the fact that he, but the fact that he, but the fact that he does not appear in the but the fact that he does not appear in the Souchuan, although he is said to have served under Holu, king of Wu. Makes it uncertain what period he really belonged to. He also says, the works of Sun Wu and Wu Qi may be of genuine antiquity. It is noticeable that both Ye Shui Sin and Qin Cha Sun It is noticeable that both Ye Shui Sin and Qin Jin Sun, while rejecting the personality of Sun Wu, as he figures in Sima Qian's history, are inclined to keep accept the date traditionally assigned to the work which passes under his name. The author of the Sulu. The author of the Sulu fails to appreciate this distinction, and The author of the Sulu fails to appreciate this distinction, and consequently his bitter attack on Qin Jin Sun really misses its mark. He makes one or two points, however, which Well, looks like we're finally back after our outage. That was inopportune. But what can you do? What can you do? 'Tis what it is. In any event, let's get back where we were. There we are. Ah, it was Chen Wang. Okay. Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. What an odd noise. Sun Tzu, he says, must have lived in the must have, and right in time for a car. Must have lived in the age of Qing Wang, 519 through 476, because he has frequently plagiarized in subsequent works of the Zhou, Qin, and Han dynasties. The two most shameless offenders in the two most shameless offenders in this respect are Wu Qi and Huainan Zhu and Huainan Zhu and Huainan Zhu and Huainan Zhu, both of them important historical personages in their day. The former lived only a the former and another car passing right by. Another somewhat slow one. There we are. The former lived only a century after the alleged date of Sun Tzu, and his death is known to have taken place in 381 BC. He was to him, according to Liu Xiang. Let's see if I recall that one right. And I might as well get the other while I'm at it. Liu Xiang. I was right. And Zhong Xin. Very good. It was to him, according to Liu Xiang, that Zhang Qin that Zhang Qin delivered the Sichuan, delivered the Zhouchuan, delivered the Zhouchuan, delivered the Zhouchuan. Delivered the Zhouchuan, which had been entrusted to him by its author. Now, the fact that quotations from The Art of War, acknowledged or otherwise, are to be found in so many authors of different epochs, establishes a very strong probability that there was some common source anterior to them all. that there was some common source anterior to them all. In other words, that Sun that in other words, that Sun Tzu in other words, that Sun Tzu's in other words, that Sun Tzu's treatise was already in existence towards the end of the 5th century BC. Further proof of Sun Tzu's antiquity is furnished by the archaic or wholly obsolete meanings attaching to a number of the words he uses. Further proof of Sun Tzu's antiquity is furnished by the archaic or wholly obsolete meanings. Further proof of Sun Tzu's antiquity is furnished by the archaic or wholly obsolete meanings attaching to a number of the words he uses. A list of these, which might perhaps be extended, is given in the Tzu Lu. And though some of the interpretations are doubtful, the main argument is hardly affected thereby. Again, it must not be forgotten that Ye Shui Sin. It must not be forgotten that Wei Shui Sin. It must not be forgotten that Ye Shui Sin, a scholar and critic of the first rank, deliberately pronounces the style of the 13 chapters to belong to the early part of the 5th century. To the early part of the 5th century. Seeing that he is actually engaged in an attempt to disprove the existence of Sun Wu himself, we may be sure that he would not have hesitated to assign the work. Seeing that he is actually engaged in an attempt to disprove the existence of Sun Wu himself, we may be sure that he would not have hesitated to assign the work to a later date, had he not honestly believed the contrary. And it is precisely on such a point that the judgment of an educated Chinaman will carry most weight. Other internal evidence is not far to seek. Thus, in 13 subsection 1, there is an unmistakable allusion to the ancient system of land tenure, which had already passed away by the time of Mencius, who was anxious to see it revived in a modified form. The only warfare Sun Tzu knows is that carried on between the various feudal princes. Zhu Ho, in which armored chariots play a large part. Their use seems to have entirely died out before the end of the Zhou dynasty. He speaks as a man of Wu, a state. He speaks as a man of Wu. A state which ceased to exist as early as 473 BC. A state which ceased to exist as early as 473 BC. On this I shall touch presently. But once refer to the work on the 5th century. But once refer the work to the 5th century or earlier, and the chances of its being other. But once refer the work to the 5th century or earlier, and the chances of its being other than a bona fide production are sensibly diminished. Are sensibly diminished. Are sensibly diminished. The great age of forgeries did not come until long after. The great age of forgeries did not come until long after. That it should have been forged in the period immediately following 473 is particularly unlikely. That it should have been forged in the period immediately following 473 is particularly unlikely, for no one, as a rule, hastens to identify himself with a lost cause. As for Ye Shui Sin's theory, that the author was a literary recluse, that seems to be quite untenable. That seems to be quite untenable. If one thing is more apparent than another after reading the maxims of Sun Tzu, it is that their essence has been distilled from a large store of personal observation and experience. They reflect the mind not only of a born They reflect the mind not only of a born strategist. They reflect the mind not only of a born strategist, gifted with a rare faculty of generalization, but also of a practical soldier closely acquainted with the military conditions of his time. To say nothing of the fact that these sayings have been accepted and endorsed by all the greatest captains of Chinese history, they offer a combination of freshness and sincerity, acuteness and common sense, which quite excludes the idea that they were artificially concocted in the study. That they were artificially concocted in this. That they were artificially concocted in the study. If we admit, then. If we admit then that if we admit then if we admit then if we admit then that the 13 chapters were the genuine production of a military man living towards the end of the Chun Chu period, are we not bound, in spite of the silence of the So Chuan? If we admit then that the 13 chapters were the genuine production of a military man living towards the end. If we admit then that the 13 chapters were the genuine production of a military man living towards the end of the Chun that the 13 chapters were the genuine production of a military man living towards the end of the Chun Chu period, are we not bound, in spite of the silence of the So Chuan, to accept Sima Qian's account in its entirety? In the view of his high repute as a sober historian, must we not hesitate to assume that the records he drew upon for Sun Wu's biography were false and untrustworthy? The answer, I fear, must be in the negative. The answer, I fear, must be in the negative. There is still one grave, if not fatal, objection to the chronology involved in the story as told in the Shi Chi, which, so far as I am aware, nobody has yet pointed out. There are two passages in Sun. There are two passages in Sun Tzu in which he alludes to contemporary affairs. In which he alludes to contemporary affairs. The first is in 6, subsection 21. Though according to my estimate, the soldiers of Yue exceed our own in number, that shall advantage them nothing in the matter of victory. I say then that victory can be achieved. The other is in 11. The other is in 11, subsection 30. Asked if an army can be made to imitate the Shuai-Jan, I should let's see if I got that right before I become presumptuous. Shuai-Jan. Close, but not quite. Asked if an army can be made to imitate the Shuai-Jan, I should answer, yes, for the men of Wu and the men of Yue are enemies, are enemies, are enemies, are enemies. Yet, if they are crossing a river in the same boat and are caught by a storm, they will come to each other's assistance, just as the left. They will come to each other's assistance, just as the left hand helps the right. Cars. These two paragraphs are extremely valuable as evidence of the date of composition. They assign the work to the period of the struggle between Wu and Yue. So much has been observed by... Now that, I believe, is B.E. Shun. Let's be certain. Yes, I was right. So much has been observed by B.E. Shun. So much has been observed by B.E. Shun. But what has hitherto escaped notice is that they also But what has hitherto escaped notice is that they also seriously impaired the credibility of Sima Qian's narrative. The credibility of Sima Qian's narrative. As we have seen above, the first positive date given in connection with Sun Wu is 512 BC. He is then spoken of as a general. Acting as confidential advisor to Ho Lu, so that his alleged introduction to that monarch had already taken place, and of course the 13 chapters must have been written earlier still. But at that time, and for several years after, down to the capture of Ying in 506. Chu and not Yue was the great hereditary enemy of Wu. The two states, Chu and Wu, had been constantly at war for over half a century, whereas the first war between Wu and Yue was waged only in 510, and even then was waged only in 510, was waged only in 510, was waged only in 510, was waged only in 5, was waged only in 5, was waged only in 510, and even then was no more than a short interlude sandwiched and even then was no more than a short interlude sandwiched and even then was no more than a short interlude sandwiched in the midst of the fierce struggle with Chu. Now Chu is not mentioned in the Chu is not mentioned in the 13 chapters. Now Chu is not mentioned in the 13 chapters at all. The natural inference is that they were written at a time when Yue had become the prime antagonist of Wu. That is, after Chu had suffered the great humiliation of 506. At this point, a table of dates may be found useful. At this point, a table of dates may be found useful. A table of dates may be found useful. A table of dates may be found useful. BC 514 Ascension 514 514 514 514 Accession of Holu 512 Holu attacks Chu, but is dissuaded. Holu attacks Chu, but is dissuaded from entering Ying, the capital. Shi Che mentions Sun Wu as general. Shi Che mentions Sun Wu as general. 511 Another attack on Chu. 510 510 Wu makes a successful attack on Yue. This is the first war between the two states. This is the first war between the two states. 509 or 508 Chu invades Wu, but is signally defeated. At Wu Chang. But is signally defeated at Yu Chang. Yu Chang. 506 Ho Lu attacks Chu with the aid of Tong. Ho Lu attacks Chu with the aid of Tong. Ho Lu attacks Chu with the aid of Tong and Zai. Decisive battle of Bo Chu and capture of Ying. Last mention of Sun Wu in Shi Che. 505 Yue makes a raid on Wu in the absence of its army. Wu is beaten by Qin and evacuates Ying. 504 Ho Lu sends Fu Chai to attack Chu. 497 Kojian. Would have never guessed that. Kojian becomes king of Yue. becomes king of Yue. 496. Wu attacks Yue, but is defeated by Ko Qian. Ko Qian. And now we wait a car. Wu attacks Yue, but is defeated by Ko Qian. At Xu Li. At Xu Li. At Xu Li. Ho Lu is killed. 494. 494. 494. 494. Fu Chai deletes. Fu Chai deletes Ko Qian. Fu Chai defeats Ko Qian. Fu Chai defeats Ko Qian in the Fu Chai defeats Ko Qian. Fu Chai defeats Ko Qian in the Great Battle of Fu Chao. Let's see about this. Yes, I was right. And enters the capital of Yue. 485 or 484. Ko Qian renders homage to Wu. Renders homage to Wu. Death of Wu Zushu. 482. Ko Qian invades Wu. Ko Qian invades Wu in the absence of Fu Chai. 478 to 476. Further attacks by Yue on Wu. 475. Ko Qian lays siege to the capital of Wu. 473. 473. Final defeat. And a car passes. Final defeat and extinction. Final defeat and extinction of Wu. The sentence quoted above from 6 subsection 21. What the hell? Some kind of background noise. The sentence quoted above from 6. The sentence quoted above from 6. The sentence quoted above from 6 subsection 21 hardly strikes me as one that could have been written in the full flush of victory. Hardly strikes me as one that could have been written in the full flush of victory. It seems rather to imply that, for the moment at least, it seems rather It seems rather to imply that, for the moment at least, the tide had turned against Wu, and that she was getting the worst of the struggle. Hence, we may conclude that our treatise was not in existence in 505, before which date Yue does not before which date Yue does not appear to have scored any notable success against Wu. Ho Lu died in 496, so that if the book was written for him, it must have been during the period of 505 through 496, when there was a lull in the hostilities, Wu having presumably when there was a lull in the hostilities, Wu presumably having been exhausted by its supreme effort against Chu. On the other hand, if we choose to disregard the tradition connecting Sun Wu's name with if we choose to disregard the tradition connecting Sun Wu's name with Ho Lu, it might equally well have seen the light between 496 and 494, or possibly in the period 840, or possibly in the period 482 through 473, when Yue was once again becoming a very serious menace. We may feel fairly certain that the author, whoever he may have been, was not a man of any great eminence in his own day. On this point, the negative testimony of the Sochuan far outweighs any shred of authority still attaching to the Shi Chu, if once its other facts are discredited. Sun Xingyin, however, makes a feeble attempt to explain the omission of his name from the great commentary. It was Wu Tzu Jusu. Would be my guess. Wu Zishu. It was Wu Jichu, he says, who got all the credit of Sun Wu's exploits, because the latter, being an alien, was not rewarded with an office in the state. How, then, did the Sun Tzu legend originate? It may be that the growing celebrity of the book imparted by degrees a kind of factitious renown to its author. It was felt to be only right and proper that one so well versed in the science of war should have solid achievements to credit as well. Should have solid achievements to his credit as well. Now, the capture of Ying was undoubtedly the greatest feat of arms in Ho Lu's reign. Now, the capture of Ying was undoubtedly the greatest feat of arms in Ho Lu's reign. It made a deep and lasting impression. On all the surrounding states, and raised Wu to the short-lived zenith of her power. Hence, what more natural as time went on than the acknowledged mastery than the acknowledged mastery of strategy. Sun Wu should be popularly identified with that campaign. At first, perhaps, only in the sense that his brain. At first, perhaps, only in the sense that his brain conceived and planned it. Afterwards, that it was actually carried out by him in conjunction with Wu Yuan, Po Pei, and Fu Kai. It is obvious that any attempt to reconstruct even the outline of It is obvious that any attempt to reconstruct even the outline of Sun Tzu's life must be based almost wholly on conjecture. With this necessary proviso, I should say that he probably entered the service of With this necessary proviso, I should say that he probably entered the service of Wu about the time of Ho Lu's accession, and gathered experience, though only in the capacity of a subordinate officer, during the intense military activity which marked the first half of that prince's reign. If he rose to be a general at all, he certainly was never on an equal footing with the three above mentioned. He was doubtless present at the investment and occupation of Ying, and witnessed Wu's sudden collapse in the following year. Yue's attack at this crucial juncture, when her rival was embarrassed on every side, seems to have convinced him that this upstart kingdom was the great enemy against whom every effort would henceforth have to be directed. That this upstart kingdom was the great enemy against whom every effort would henceforth have to be directed. That this upstart kingdom was the great enemy against whom every effort would henceforth have to be directed. Sun Wu was thus a well-seasoned warrior when he sat down to write his famous book, which, according to my reckoning, must have appeared towards the end rather than the beginning of Ho Lu's reign. The story of the women may possibly have grown out. The story of the women may possibly have grown out of some real incident occurring about the same time, as we hear no more of Sun Wu. After this from any source, he is hardly likely to have survived his patron, or to have taken part in the death struggle with Yue, which began with the disaster of Tzu Li. Hey, I got that right. If these inferences are approximately correct, there is a certain irony in the fate which decreed that China's most illustrious man of peace. There is a certain irony in the fate which decreed that China's most illustrious man of peace should be contemporary with her greatest writer on war. And what was this called? Aha, the Text of Sun Tzu. And now we get into the recap and reply portion for anyone new to the stream. In the text of Sun Wu, Giles guides us down and through the annals of history and the commenters circulated in his day. and can only regret that he refrained from discussing them on that account. Sun Xingyan. Nice. I was quite good on that. Sun Xingyan says in his preface. Sun Xingyan says in his preface. During the Qin and Han dynasties, Sun Tzu's art of war was in general use amongst military commanders, but they seem to have treated it as a work of mysterious import and were unwilling to expound it for the benefit of posterity. Thus it came about that Wei Wu was the first to write a commentary on it. As we have already seen, there is no reasonable ground to suppose that Cao Kung tampered with the text. But the text itself is often so obscure, and the number of editions which appeared from that time onward so great, especially during the Tang and Sung dynasties, that it would be surprising if numerous corruptions had not managed to creep in. Towards the middle of the Sung period, by which time all the chief commentaries on Sun Tzu were in existence. Bloody hell. It's that mouse wheel again with its sensitivity, proving itself something of an enemy. By the time which all the chief commentaries on Sun Tzu were in existence, a certain Qi Tian Bao published a work in 15 Chuan entitled Qijian Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu. Sun Tzu, with the collected commentaries of 10 writers. There was another text with variant readings put forth by Chu Fu. Of Da Qing, which also had supporters among the scholars of that period, which also had supporters among the scholars of that period, but in the Ming editions, Sun Xingyan tells us these readings were for some reason or another no longer put into circulation. Thus, until the end of the 18th century, the text in sole possession. Thus, until the Thus, and thus, until the end of the 18th century, the text in sole possession of the field. The text in sole possession of the field. The text in sole possession of the field was one derived from Chi Tin Pao's edition, although no actual copy of that important work was shown to have survived. Although no actual copy of that important work was known to have survived. That, therefore, is the text of Sun Wu. That, therefore, is the text of Sun. That, therefore, is the text of Sun Tzu, which appears. That, therefore, is the text of Sun Tzu, which appears in the war section of the Great Imperial Encyclopedia, printed in 1726. Ooh, that's a long one. Gu Jin Tu Shu Ji Cheng. Chung. Okay. The Gu Jin Tu Shu Ji Chung. The Gu Jin Tu Shu Ji Chung. Comprehensive collection of ancient and modern books. Another copy at my disposal of what is practically the same text with slight variations. Another copy at my disposal of what is practically the same text with slight variations is that contained in the. And that is Zhou Qin Shi Yi Zhu. Okay. With slight variations, is that contained in the. With slight variations, is that contained in the. With slight variations, is that contained in the. Zhou Qin Shi Yi Zhu. Zhou Qin Shi Yi Zhu. Zhou Qin Shi Yi Zhu. "11 Philosophers of the Zhou and Qin Dynasties." 11 philosophers of the Zhou and Qin Sun. 11 philosophers of the Zhou and Qin. 11 philosophers of the Zhou and Qin dynasties. 1758. And the Chinese printed in Captain Calthrop's first edition is evidently a similar version, which is filtered through Japanese channels. So things remained until Sun Xingjian. I've got a pretty good feel on this one, but I want to make sure. Yes, Sun Xingjian. So things remained until Sun Xingyan. So things remained until Sun Xingyan. 1752 through 1818, a distinguished antiquarian and classical scholar who claimed to be an actual descendant of Sun Wu, accidentally discovered a copy of Chi Tin Pao's. Right. Bao. Accidentally discovered a copy of Qi Tian Bao's long-lost work when on a visit to the library of Hua Yin. Hua Yin. Okay. Went on a visit to the library of the Hua Yin. Went on a visit to the library of the Hua Yin temple. Appended to it was the appended to it was the appended to it was the hmm. So the first is going to be Yishuao, and the second will be Zhongyuxian. Hmm. Appended to it was the Yushuo. Appended to it was the Yishuao. Appended to it was the Yishuao. Shuao. Appended to it was the Yish. Appended to it was the Yishuao. Appended to it was the Yishuo. Appended to it was the Yishuo. Of Junyoshin. Of Jungyoshin. Of Jungyoshin. Of Jungyoshin. Of Jungyoshin. Of Jungyoshin. Mentioned in the Dongche, and also believed to have perished. This is what Sun This is what Sung Ying Shin. This is what Sung Qing. This is what Sung Xing Yin. This is what Sun Xing Yin designates as the Gu Bin, or Yuing, or Yuin Bin. Original edition or text. A rather misleading name, for it cannot a rather misleading name, for it cannot by any means claim to be set before us the sex. A rather misleading name, for it cannot by a rather misleading name, for it cannot a rather misleading name, for it cannot by any means claim to be set before us the text of Sun Tzu in its pristine purity. A rather misleading name, for it cannot by any means claim. A rather misleading name, for it cannot by any means claim to set before us the text of Sun Tzu in its pristine purity. Qi Dian Pao. Yes, Bao. Qi Tian Qi Tian Bao was a careless compiler. Qi Tian Bao was a careless compiler, and appears to have been content to reproduce the somewhat debased version current in this day. And appears to have been content to reproduce the somewhat debased version current in his day, without troubling to collate it with the earliest editions then available. Without troubling to collate it with the earliest editions then available. Fortunately, two versions of Sun Tzu, even older than the newly discovered work, were still extant, one buried in the Dongqian. Fortunately, two versions of Sun Tzu, even older than the newly discovered work, were still extant. One buried in the Tongtian. Tu Yu's great treatise on the Constitution. The other similarly enshrined. In the Taiping Yu, in the Taiping Yao, in the Taiping Yu Lan, in the Taiping Yu Lan Encyclopedia, in both the complete text the complete text is to be found, though split up into fragments, intermixed with other matter, and scattered piecemeal over a number of different sections. Considering that the Yulan takes us back to the year 983, and the Dongtian about 200 years further still, to the middle of the Tang dynasty, the value of these early transcripts, like I did a phoneme there. The value of these early transcripts of Sun Tzu can hardly be overestimated. Yet the idea of utilizing them does not seem to have occurred to anyone until Sun Qingyan, acting under government instructions, undertook a thorough recension of the text. This is his own account. Because of the numerous mistakes in the text of Sun Tzu, which his editors had handed down, the government ordered that the ancient edition of Qi Tian Bao should be used, and that the text should be revised and corrected throughout. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. See if I got that correctly. Yan Hu. I see. Yan. Ah, I see. I didn't copy the full last word. Cool. It happened that Wu Nian Yu. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. It happened that Wu Nian. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. The governor. Bi Qua and Chi. It happened that Wu Nian Hu, the governor of. It happened that Wu. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. It happened that Wu Nian. It happened that Wu Nian Hu. The governor, Bi Qua. The governor, Bi Qua. And Chi, a graduate of the second degree, had all devoted themselves to this study, probably surpassing me therein. Accordingly, I have had the whole work cut on blocks as a textbook for military men. As a textbook for military men. The three individuals here referred to had evidently been occupied on the text of Sun Tzu prior to Sun Qian. The three individuals here referred to had evidently odd. The three individuals here referred to had evidently been occupied on the text of Sun Tzu prior to Sun Qingyin's commission. But we are left in doubt as to the work they really accomplished. At any rate, the new edition, when ultimately produced, appeared in the names of Sun Qingyan and only one co-editor. At any rate, the new edition, when ultimately produced, appeared in the names of Sun Qingyan and only one co-editor. Wu Rinqi. I would have never guessed that. Wu Rinqi. Wu Rinqi. Wu Rinqi. Let's see what the actual characters themselves would say. Wu Rinji. They took the original text as their basis, and by as their basis, and by careful comparison with the older versions as well as their basis, as their basis, and by careful comparison with the older versions, as well as the extant commentaries and other sources, of information such as the Ichuo. Let's see if I got that right. Ishwa, I should have said. As their basis, and by careful comparison with the older versions, as well as the extant commentaries and other sources of as their basis, and by careful comparison with the older versions, as well as the extant as their basis, and by careful comparison with the older versions, as well as the extant commentaries and other sources of information, such as the Ishwa, succeeded in restoring a very large number of doubtful succeeded in restoring a very large number of doubtful passages and turned out on the whole, what must be accepted as the closest approximation we are ever likely to get to Sun Tzu's original work. This is what will hereafter be denominated the standard text. The copy which I have used belongs to a reissued date. The copy which I have used belongs to a reissued date, 1877. The copy which I have used belongs to a reissue dated 1877. It is in 6 pin. It is in 6 pin, forming part of a well-printed set of 23 early philosophical works in 83 pin. Cars. Something dragging by very slowly. I think it's perhaps a generator or something static. It is in 6 pin, forming part of a well-printed set of 23 early philosophical works in 83 pin. It opens with a preface by Sun Qingyan, largely quoted in this introduction, vindicating the traditional view of Sun Tzu's life and performances and summing up in remarkably concise fashion the evidence in its favor. This is followed by Cao Kung. This is followed by Cao Gung's preface. This is followed by Cao Kung. This is followed by Cao Gung's preface to his edition, and the biography of Sun Tzu from the Shi Chi, both, and the biography of Sun Tzu from the Chi Chi, and the biography of Sun Tzu from the Chi Chi, and the biography of Sun Tzu from the Shi Chi, both translated above. Then, then, then come, then come, then come, first, then come, first, then come, firstly, Zhong Youqian's Yi Shao. Zhong Youqian's Yi Shuao. Zhong Youqian. Zhong Youqian's Yi Shuao. Zhong Youqian. Zhong Youqian's Yi Shuao. Yi Shuao. With author's preface. And next, a short miscellany of his. And next, a short miscellany and next, a short miscellany of historical and bibliographical. A short miscellany of historical and a short miscellany of historical and bibliographical information entitled Sun Tzu Chu Lu. Compiled by B. Ishun. As regards the body of the work, each separate sentence is as regards the body of the work, each separate sentence is followed by a note on the text, if required, and then by the various commentaries appertaining to it, arranged in chronological order. These we shall now proceed to discuss briefly, one by one. One by one. And let's take a quick look back over, make sure we get everything. The Great Peace Compendium. In the text of Sun Tzu, Giles tells us of how we came to the most contemporary model of Sun Tzu's complete works. Circa his time. In that he details... Let's get his name properly. In this he details several... There we are. In the text of Sun Tzu, Giles continues expounding how we have come to the most contemporary version of the art of war. Here, as sparse works from the earlier past came to the surface from a few temples and other miscellaneous sources. Under the direction of the 1800s Chinese government, a work was abstracted, pieced together, and largely and otherwise inferred from these reference documents, and assembled into what we now speak of in, as Giles calls it, the standard text. While perhaps dubious, considerable for the amount of inference necessary, and the diffuse nature of the reference material, of the material itself. With hesitant acceptance, Giles accepts it as it is, for exactly what it is, without embellishment or lionization thereof. And with that, he pivots into the commentators. And again, I'm not a historian. I have not much to say insofar as the reply. But that is the end of our section of recording the audiobook, and quite economically so. We managed to get both sections in, which, considering the length of Sun Wu and his book, I didn't necessarily think that we would. But success is success. And so, despite the issues with the internet, it is all recorded on my side, and we should more than be able to make good on what has been gained today. At least on that front. Let's see about Oblivion. And now there have been a few updates since our time last to OBS, and I would hope against hope, given that this is such an old game and it wasn't fixed by the time already of trying it out several weeks ago. That it might allow me to just use the experimental game recording feature instead of the entire desktop being recorded. Let's find out. Do we have audio levels? Hey! That's lit! It looks like we do. And that solves quite a few issues. Okay! Well, we might actually be able to do this the fashion of which I was hoping for in the original. Now, my DPI and my subsequent reportage for this mouse is quite a bit higher, so we have some good opportunities ahead of us in that direction. I'm still getting accustomed to it slightly, but over the week or so of having used it, I think I got it. I think I got it by this point. We shall see. Oh, and I'll also have to try and remember what the hotkeys were that I set for everything. Having a few jitters, which is odd. OBS, while I do admire it for having allowed me to actually record this in the way that it says that it should, it's been a little jittery today. On the road again. I just can't wait to get back on the road again. I'm surprised I haven't been assaulted by like 35 imps yet. I'm waiting for it. Nope. Hang on. But, 8. Yeah. Okay. Oh, another wolf. No, you. Now get the fuck out of here. To get... Oh, shit. Chased across the map again. That's, I guarantee, what's going to happen. No, you. Ah. That is some serious frame rate dippage. That might be a result from OBS. Earnestly. Hey, they dropped off. Even within sight, that's surprising. Considering the last time where a rat chased me across the entire map, I figured it would go on a lot longer. Let's see, what do we have here? Rice. I'll have it all. Gimme. Is it just me? Ah, that would be what I was looking for. Looking on it today, especially in the face of so many pieces of media that have come out. So many pieces of media that have come out, be it video game, movie, even just... Oh? What's up? Oh. Ah. A wizard in armor. It's probably not very wise of you, fam. Holy shit! You just chunked my health. Yikes! Wait a minute, is this the one castle from the DLC? Gotta save. But anyway, to what I was saying. Oh, fuck! There you go again. I can't mess around with that region. I am not nearly tanked up enough. Goodness gracious. You need to stay over there. And leave me be. Yeah, do that. Anyway. With all of the media that's come out, movies, films, even static pieces like drawings. Oh, that is the DLC. I'll come back for that later. I got a mountain to hop. No wonder they were handing me my ass. The visual fidelity and sheer crunch of the visuals has really, really... Eagle? More adequately a hawk. Huh. Has really, really put into perspective both how impressive this game was for its time, and also how rather poorly it has aged. I think it's because of the setting more than anything. Where if I look back on Fallout New Vegas, for instance, and to a certain extent even Fallout 3, as wastelands, they have that kind of desolation about them that is justified given the given how they are provided for. And I think to a certain extent even Skyrim suffers from that, although because it is more of an alpine, maybe taiga, and definitely in certain parts, just straight ice sheet biome. It doesn't quite suffer from the lack of foliage, wildness, and overflowing that I think is really lacking in Oblivion. That is to say, pretty much all of this, whether we're up here in the mountain or down in the valleys, feels kind of like a managed forest. Which, if you even look over to something more recent, but not completely fresh, like Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, in many a section, they definitely nailed that wild, unmanaged, open, forested area. And especially given the fact that Cyrodiil was supposed to be endless and wretchedly dense jungle. While I do understand that's not what they inevitably went with. While I do understand that that is not inevitably what they went with. I would imagine that the hardware limitations were the great decider in the matter. Wow, a lot of wolves. I should be leveling up. I think this is mysticism anyway. But the amount of times I have to calm these creatures. But Fort Ontis is quite an an interestingly named piece of terrain. It's very close to the Greek ontos, being. And in fact, given how much they crossed over and borrowed from one another like English does French, and if you know anything about language, most of French is just Latin. But with a lot more vowels added in everywhere, and diacritics too. That could just be a direct borrowing. For those who haven't picked up on it as well, the Empire borrows heavily from the aesthetic as well as apparent etymology, as well as apparent linguistics of, I would imagine, though this isn't my field of expertise, some of the middle and later Roman Empire. When I do inevitably go back up there, speaking of, there's a standing stone I'm gonna check out. I think that will certainly be a place that has some interesting lore to it. Nice. Nope. Oh, it's a conjuration. Well, that'll certainly do something. Did that. Okay, I've still got armor, so that's cool. Stones sleep. Stones rest this day. If that ain't the most I am Groot thing I've ever heard out of anything Bethesda, I don't know what is. Oh, come on. You really want to mess with this? Really? I'm covered in probably some sort of spirit-forged armor. Does this really look tasty? Speaking of, let's see, what did I bind my inventory to? It ain't that, that's for sure. It ain't that, that's for sure. Nope. Get, that's my spells. That's my view. Shift. Alt. I know I changed it to something. I guess I'll have to look it up in the keybinds. There's me, Cairo, sitting here looking at my bloody keybinds. Inventory button? Where are we at? Okay, well... nothing there, I suppose. Well, there's the auto move. I swear that I had it swapped to, escape, but I guess this is fine anyway. Let's actually see what we came here for. So we have active effects of... Alright. I have the shakes. Not good. Rune, cuirass, and sword. What does that do? Okay, 7 defense. I would imagine that's markedly higher than what I already have. I'll happily have that. Especially considering I continue to get pummeled by random passerbys. I'm assailed again? Oh! Huh. Away with you. Wolves, wolves, and more wolves. If I were to rub a magic ball, that would be my future as it shows. Apparently. Now, I'm probably doomed to face something very nasty coming through here, too. But we'll see. I'll say one thing that I... Well, that's definitely an enemy. Yep. Necromancers, of course. I'll avoid that for the moment. Go away! Get the fuck out of here! You're committed, aren't you? Alright, fine. Fine. You know, I didn't take vows against necromancers. I'll whoop you, boy. Not like that, though. Oh, my lord! No. Did I set my, ha! Friendly fire, you shitty. How about some of these, eh? Eh? If I calm you... Shit. Huh. If I calm you, can I still punch the daylights out of you? Nope. Okay, that cancels that. Do I hear more friends? Yo! I thought he was for real about to turn on him. Hip. I really need to get a magical boost. This kind of sucks. No, no, no ghost touch! These guys must be on all kinds of skooma. No! I'll punch your daylights out. There you go. I did it. Just like I said I would. Alright. Well... nothing to worry about. I just heard the scuffle of a lifetime out there with my old pal, my old buddy, my old friend. Or at least my co-conspirator. Nothing to it. But I will say... The fuck? Oh! Armor unequipping. Had me spooked for a second. That is one thing I do love about being out here. At this level, and something I'll never be able to get over with across games, methinks, is those early levels, even in TTRPGs and especially there. The sheer vulnerability that you have. Ah! Yep, as put on close display. You're able to just get whacked moment to moment. You really have to cheese it or know what you're doing in order to get by, and that's where the fun is to be had. In fact, that's a massive influence, this mindset, on the TTRPG that I'm working on, and I am hesitantly dubbing the all-signing. I think that there is a stark line to be drawn between games like D&D and the like, where you can really, really tank some things, and if you know what you're doing, make good with very little, especially the right combination of busted magic items, and consumables for that matter. But those like Call of Cthulhu, and the more tactic kinds of slow and deliberate shooters. And there's a plethora of Flash games from back in the day as well, where you can just get wiped instantaneously if you're not careful and paying any mind, is something I much favor over being a damage sponge. And for myriad reasons, too. Of course, feeling like the almighty hero is a valid and valuable thing to want. Yet, at once, it does rather necessarily detract from making your decisions feel like they matter, and not just decisions in the grand scheme of things, but particularly in the moment. And likewise, having easy and immediate access to modes of recovery can do very much the same thing. It makes things like material combat much easier to justify and otherwise endure. But my original thought that had me coming into this castle in particular is I need to sleep. And while I'm sure necromancers like to hang from ceiling beams and cuddle up with corpses, they surely to fuck probably have a cot or something.
Where are you?
Nowhere! Eating lasagna. Wow. Eagle eyes. Come here, you! Blasted by your own summon. Well done, fool. And with like 1 HP left to my name, no less. He could have done me in if he tried.
Wherever it was, it's gone now.
Famous last words.
If it's a fight you want...
Well, I'll give it to yous. Okay, gonna give it to you. No lie, I'm kind of buggered here. You're supposed to be keeled. That's what you're supposed to be. Come here, you. Oh. Yeah, saw that coming. Come here. I need mage armor real bad, like. Ha! Now that I'll happily take. Let's see. What? Oh, okay. Much better. Now we should probably get rid of the hood as well. And reveal our page boy locks. Goodness. But that shield will be infinitely useful. I'll happily have that. Linchal, Hall of Knights. It's not a very good vibes sounding place. Let's see. We'll investigate this level for the time being. This looks like a place... Ooh. Very nice. This looks like a place that would be rich with fire damp. Ah, there you are. Put 'em up, see? Except not until I get close to you, see? Because I'm gonna put one right in your eyes, see? Huh! Ah ha ha! Clogs. You know. You know. We have to live out. Cannot go about with our dogs out being Catman. And we must live out our jazz punk truths. That way, whenever I inevitably walk my way into a restaurant and they ask me to take them off, I can go... Boom! Oh, whoa. Ooh. Mighty convenient that all these necromancers are just kind of goofing around. I say. No, Naga Joffrey. This is gonna end me. Is he wrapped in bandages? Huh? Nope. But he is dealing a ton of damage. Glad I took care of the other guys before entering into here. Did he fade out? Yes, he did. Alright. No, 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 no. You are gonna get to walk away after that, bucko. You are mine. Ha! I'm rather happy to be assailing all these necromancers for the time being. I'll eventually do a reading of these. But I have thankfully found a place to... Oh, what the hell? Whew. That genuinely spooked me. Shit. Forgot there were actual traps in Oblivion. But no tripwire? Okay. Yeah, it's just motion activated. Yeah. Oops. I shouldn't have stepped through the spy kids' infrared beams. I should have had my aerosol ready. Jesus. Completely lost my train of thought. Yeah, I guess I'll remember it later if I do at all. Genuinely spooked the hell out of me. Ah, now there's what we were looking for. Magica, I needs it bad. And strength. Yeah, I'll probably need strength. But endurance. I'm definitely low on the endurance side, and I'm doing a fair amount of damage. Not as much as I would like, but... definitely need some more endurance. Hello? I paused for a little while. I was worried that it hanged. And down we go. Might as well while we're here. Oh. A quick save since I'm bound to scum this place. Are they facing my direction or not? I can't tell. I think they aren't. Yeah. Oh, but now they are. What? No. Disappearing through the door? Unfair! Yeah, come on through. Oh. Ah. Got me again. None of your allies will help you here, fool. Ah, so close. Let's see if I can actually sneak up on him this time. Miss. Let's wait for a stamina to regen. Ah, and he turned around at the last moment. As happens. I'll take that, thank you. Bet. Now, I don't think I can wear... Yeah, no, okay. But goodness gracious. 15. That's a lot at this level. 15 fortification on fatigue. Once I get in a bit of a better way, it'll probably be quite useful. Nah, buddy. In fact, there you go. Close! Jeez. I know it's a thicky door, but...
This ends here.
Prove it!
Take that.
Is he just standing there screaming at the door?
You'll never take me down.
He's trying to intimidate me, and he's rolling ones every time.
To death.
What are you doing? Are you just, yeah, he is just standing there.
Best you can do.
Okay. I'll show you the best I can do. Wow, that was a lot of damage. He almost one-shot me. Goodness gracious. My magic is... still not regenerating fast enough for my taste. Yes, melee me. Try your best, fool. Why am I... What the hell? What happened? Did I accidentally smack thee?
I'm just warming up.
I gotta unbind it if that's the case, because I cannot do much more of that. Come on. Not quite.
Damn you.
Can't take another one of those. Ah! Oh! Don't say that to me. That's very offensive to my species.
Best you can do. This ends here.
Bet. I'll show you the best. No, 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 no. It is the end. For you. Oh, I know what happened. Gotcha. The scroll wheel flipped me out into, third person. Oh yeah, that's the one I knocked out before. Forgot about him. Port flesh, good to have. I'm gonna kind of stock up on it here. Good, 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 good. I've never actually heard much of the lore about...
I'd better cut down on the ale. Starting to see things, I am.
I've never heard any lore about the necromancers, really. Outside of Skyrim, where it's just outright illegal in their winter hold, if I remember rightly. College, university, whatever it's named. Whiffed him. Had no chance. I wonder if we'll find anything more here. Because if there's anything that I've seemed to recall,
Who's there?
between the games, it's that Oblivion had a lot more lore baked in. Not quite as much as, what is it called? I'm gonna have my Elder Scrolls, fan license revoked for not remembering it. The last game. I have it, even. I'm tempted to say Daggerfall, but I know that's not it. Morrowind. Ugh. Not quite as much lore as Morrowind, but still substantially more than Skyrim. Face the other way, will you? Get wrecked! This one's gonna be a toughie. Ah! Gotcha against the bars, boy. What? Okay. See if we can get this. Yeah. I recognize just a second too late. Whoop, that's gonna break. There we are. Not bad. 20 gold. I'll have that. Cure poison, if only we had cure disease by now. I was wondering how I would get across this bridge. Got it.
Who's there? Hello? Who's there?
No one. Certainly not a familial house cat come to claw you up. Ah, wow. Did I? Oh no. I was absolutely walking around on 1 HP, bloodied, battered, and about to fall over, and I went, yeah, now, now's the time to live or die. Happily. 'Cause I got cat business to do. Cease thy running. Come here, you. And good. I guess it really wasn't meant to mess around with Finger Bowl Cave, because, these enemies are a lot easier to handle. Alright, well... Bloody hell. Come here, you. Says you. I haven't had mange for years. Ah, this whole place is loaded up with traps. Yeah, I figured they'd chip me and then that would be over. No. I refuse. Yes, waste all your magicka, please. Same to you, buddy. Like a fool, I run right into the traps I know to avoid. Goodness. That was a lucky dodge. Try me, fool. Gotcha. I only lost both my arms and legs in the meantime. And watch me, I'll fling my hand up and suddenly regrow them. Okay. No, absolutely nothing. Be rest assured.
Damn rats always skirting around in the shadows.
That light and smell of
Hello?
magicka, absolutely nothing to worry about. I assure thee. Now they're going to be yep. Turned right around as I started to comment. Yeesh. Go ahead. Turn back around. Go the other way. Get the fuck out of here.
Who's there?
You're just gonna stand there all day, aren't you? No! Bless the AI.
Who's there?
I was commenting on it earlier, now that we are, of course, indoors, and not in some stinking cave hole. I admit, there is a lot more to be said for the interior design than the exterior. Yes, while the caves of the Finger Bowl Cave were serviceable, and in fact did have some atmosphere to them, there is a great deal more, even just here. I was hoping that would happen. Oh, the steel mace. Nice. I'll take the hood for now. Between the traps and trappings of the cut stone blocks, assembled in a way that is admittedly superior than some sections that we critiqued in Amnesia, which is surprising considering Amnesia's whole thing is expressly interior designs. Albeit with even with repeated motifs, certainly themes, and assets, they accomplish a lot with a little.
What's that? Guess it was nothing.
And while I know for a fact from recollection that there are quite a few things which could have been ironed out, and some fantasy tropism, and some fantasy tropisms like the hanging braziers, there is yet something to be said.
Hello? Who's there?
Hello? And certainly in the positive direction. Nobody! No. You don't get to do restoration and necromancy. That's cheating! That's cheating! You're double dipping! The schools aren't aligned! Wow, I'm already through to the next section? Are we sure about that? What's the... I guess there is no map button to hand. Yeah, I guess. Gotta get back to one of those beds soon. What? Did I loop back around? I guess. Yeah, I didn't go down the right path, but... for all this to be a small circuit? Really? Well, I guess I'll take a nap, circuit through, and make sure I didn't miss anything, because that feels... wrong. I'll take the biggest bolster. Willpower. I'll definitely be using a lot more magicka. Might as well. But 2 levels in one place. That's pretty good. I guess these were a little bit tougher than the average monster outside. Feel like there's at least 1 or 2 hidden crates or sack of goodies I'm missing. No, I hit that treasure room up. It's certainly not there. Just slumped up. Doing the little physics jitter. Yeah? Yeah, I guess I did clean it out. Well, if it is what it is, it is. I'll take that. And another place cleared of the evil influence of necromancers, surely never to be reclaimed by them or worse again. All in service by Garfield himself. And an alien well to bolster our journeys forward. And I should probably select my calming magic now that I'm not evaporating the evil of necromancers. Ooh, what do we got here? That will be... Hey, nice. And how long does that last? Okay. Some amount of time. I guess. I do wish we had that little bit of detail. But such as it is. And another castle up on the ridge. There is all the imps I was thinking about earlier. It's all coming together. Who's... Okay, so there is a house. I thought this was just a little patch. What? Huh? Am I overweight? Like, massively encumbered? Yes, okay. Well, let's go about eating some things. Yes. Well, I guess I've already got all of the things to eat. Let's see. That won't do diddly. Bone meal, more flesh, rat flesh. Nothing new. Cool. And then we'll do Karen Bolette, Ladies of Mantle Leaves. Would be cool if there was a clear all button too. Fennel seeds, flour, and green stain cap. And yeah, I guess there's no point in holding on to these. Since we only have one effect apiece. Also no point in wasting them trying to use multiple to try and unlock effects. I think that's my later level mindset coming to the fore. But these will certainly make nice things to sell anyway. Nothing to do with that. Ah, mandrake root. I'll eat that straight away, actually. Glad we got some of it. Because I do not want the shakes forever now. Yeah, that should, what? But I just ate... Well, what if I eat another one? No, I guess that won't do anything. Well, just wasted 5 of those, but whatever. Or maybe it's because I'm still in the menu. It only takes effect once I unpause. We'll find out, that's for sure. Pumpkin? No pumpkin. What pumpkin? I could do with Restore Magicka as well, frankly. Man, I got a lot of bug loss leaves. Surely there's something I can do with all these. And surely is not. Well, I'd say it's good. Time to go to market sometime soon. Oh. Oh, the pumpkins are just massively weighty. I see. Do I have anything else I can really drop that's worth dropping? Arrows aren't worth a diddly to me, so... Wow, that got rid of a lot of weight. Whew. Wait a minute. Those are iron. And... yeah, okay, they're worth the same amount of value. Absolute hogwash. I need to get one of those unencumber rings so I can pack mule my way around the entirety of Cyrodiil. Wow! 5 weight apiece. I can see why that would do me in. Oh, okay, so the mandrake root did get rid of my shakes. That's cool. I'll definitely want to get myself some more of that then in the future. Potatoes! I think that clipped the mic. I wasn't that loud either. Well, since I'm over here gathering leeks and raiding this poor farmer's fields, I guess I'll talk shop a little bit. So I've discovered the wonderful wild world of VST plugins, since I was getting very tired of the compression artifacts from the OBS limiter, which is what I believe that I narrowed it down to as the likely culprit for the little, like, that happens sometimes. Obviously shorter than that, but it's a mechano-electric noise that would be very difficult to reproduce. And as I go through and edit and review this stream, I'm hoping that I won't hear that, not even once, because of something called CFX limiter. I believe that's Core FX limiter, is what that stands for. And I had played with it in Vegas Pro 21, which is the program that I use for editing everything together, alongside Audacity for some of its noise suppression plugins, which are just phenomenal, because they are self-training on whatever you put in there, and ran locally, which I value greatly. But, I know it's made a world of difference, as my previous tactic to try and get around that clipping was just lowering the input volume, and that was requiring me to normalize it in a very particular way, so as to keep some of those dynamic highs and lows, but to get them closer to, like, -3 decibels. I guess they really did pick up skids. Huh. I guess a little bit more than I thought at first. One leak in a bowl. Just one. Oh. I've come across a discarded page from a journal of Slithe Syringi in an abandoned farmhouse near the ruins of Kavach. It mentions some sort of pilgrimage to bring an offering of great value to something called the Sunken One. All signs point to the sandstone cavern nearby. I should proceed there, as I fear for Slithe's safety. As midnight approaches, I still watch the fires burn. The great city of man, Kavach, lay in ruins. They didn't heed my words. They didn't listen to my voice. Now, they are all paying the cost of ignorance. The Sunken One strikes swift and hard. He swats those who oppose him as if they did not exist at all. The excuses of man fall upon deaf ears. The Sunken One has no pity. He has no mercy. He only sits below and passes sentence, and now, with a mighty stroke, he's toppled one of man's pitiful blights on his land. And yet he still hungers. His appetite is voracious. Kvatch will not be the last city to fall by his hand. The world of man grows more and more corrupt, and it angers him. Man's lies and deceit will be his undoing as the Sunken One grows impatient and no longer waits or accepts the proper offering. The burden is mine to shoulder. I am the last who knows of he who shakes. Of he who shakes the ground. If I do not bring him the offering, who knows what city may fall prey to his whim? Anvil? Coral? Or perhaps he will turn his eyes on the greatest boil of all, the great imperial city itself. No, I must not let that happen. I must get the offering to him like my father did before me. Man may be fallen in his eyes, but they must have time to learn the Sunken One's teachings. Destroying man now would be a waste when I am certain that given the chance, they will come to see his ways. Yes, I will do this thing. I will brave the depths of Sandstone Cavern to see him. My weapons will be my will and my word. The Sunken One will watch over me and guide me. I must depart soon, before it is too late. If anyone finds this page, let them know that I, Slythe Syringi, do this for the good of all man. Well, yeah, I'd say that points us in the direction of Sandstone Caverns. It's almost like it was explicitly name-dropped. But back to talking shop. Basically, it's good. And I'm hoping that it works well here. Alright, off to Sandstone Cavern, the Cavern of Wonderful Sand. Oh, shit. Totally forgot there were imps out this way. And they still deal an ass ton of damage. I guess I'm really magic prone, huh? Ugh. Away with you. Does calm not work on these creatures? Come on, shock. No, it absolutely does not, and you know what that means. Put him up, put him up, put him up. You are a health sponge, eh? Oh. Wow. What? I didn't save before doing all that business? Ah, you gotta be kidding me. All that time. Well, out of here, buddy. I guess nothing I can do about it. Except for quickly get through with, producing potions. And then grabbing that paper again. I really do have to check on what the... Yeah, okay. I have the difficulty set rather slightly forward. I'll back that off a little because the sponginess of these enemies is getting a little extreme. I mean, imps taking slug after slug. But I guess that is just the consequence of being hand-to-hand. That said, if I'm ever to make any kind of progress in the direction that I need, I can't be having that. What? Oh. Awesome. That'll do. I guess I'll have to pummel a wolf in order to get to my potions. Yeah. Come on in, buddy. Dirt's just fine in here. And a fresh pelt for me. Okay. I guess I'm not too torn up about having, having to come back and do this again, because I did foolishly waste some ingredients, and, you know. 'Tis what it is. Yeah, okay. Corn me up, laddie. I also just realized that I made another misstep in not doing... Hey! Nice. What do we got here? Shield. Interesting. Let's see what I can do with potatoes! I would also like shield. Not that it's going to be of much use to me, frankly. Ah, dispel. That will be mighty appreciated. I knew there was a good reason for collecting all that bergamot, other than my extraordinary love for it. Personally. White seed pod. Well, I'll save that for later, since I would like some water-breathing spells. And Lady Smock Leaves still not doing much for me. I forgot entirely that rat meat lets you detect life whenever you use it properly. Fire damage, that's interesting. Well, Bugloss still has nothing I can really match it with, surprisingly. But I think that, yeah, that's taken us down from almost entirely overweight to just within range. I'll happily have that, thank you. Ah, yes, and nothing in there, and I think there was a little something worth grabbing over in this little partition off space. Yes. Now indoors. A little bit of reading, and I'll take that scroll. Nothing in there worth taking still. And accidentally grabbing a bowl. Miscellany. Yeah, get rid of that. Man, I really gotta hit up the market soon. I might just stop back in the Imperial City for the fact. Because I'm certainly loaded up. Let's see. Yeah, I'm right on top of Kavach. I'll go to Skingrad. How to drop... a... marker. This is another one of those little flaws that I only remember in the moment. I need it to work properly. They don't really tutorialize things particularly well. I know there's a way to do it, and it presents as a little green arrow. Let's see. Oh, it's apparently shift-click. Would have been good to know. Oh, and I was entirely misremembering. It's blue. Now, let's see what we can do about these buggers. Now that we are all healed up. That's a lot better damage! And I'm taking a lot less damage in turn. I'll be happy for that, thank you. Come on, you stinky flying creature. All these games I've played of the Elder Scrolls, and not once do I believe there has been any mention of imps explicitly. Maybe in alchemy manuals, but not a wink about their lore and how they came to be. I don't even think they exist in the Oblivion Gates. They might be in Oblivion in lore, but, I surely don't recall anything of it. To say much of their origins. If they genuinely flock around just little spots in the middle of the woods, I can imagine they're a real terror. But not once. Not once have I heard anything about it. I think I will go to Skingrad first. Then come back here. Maybe I'll fast travel. Perhaps I should reveal the location. Well, that'll do it. My man lived like 500 paces away from the place. That's not disconcerting at all. Hey, more Nernroot. Kinda just floating on the water. Looks like I'll be passing through, huh? Oh. Calm down. More alien ruins. Perhaps even Daedric. It looks a little alien to me, actually. Yeah, I'll hit this place up later. Or have I already passed through here? Oh, no, I surely don't recall it. I think I got deja vu from... Yeah, I wouldn't have left this around if I had come through before. I think I just had some deja vu from my original playthrough. I say playthrough. My original fumble around with it like a decade ago. When I just went pouncing through the woods. That was a lot of damage. Oh, that would be, something I don't want to mess around. And I think they'll take care of it for me, as a matter of fact. Go ahead. Bite the bear. Enjoy. I'm sure it'll be a very worthwhile venture for you. Go ahead. No, don't look at me. Go after the bear. There you go. Doing as you should. It's a bear cub, too. They didn't even get close. That's sad. Calm down now. Okay. I see now why, Yep, okay. I see now why... My calm didn't work on the imps. I don't necessarily think it's because they're imps. I think it might be because they're too high level for the calm spell. Or soothe, or whatever it is. Let's see. Yeah, soothing touch. I can't mesmer my way out of those conflicts. Not yet, anyway. I do kind of want to come through here now that... Our bear friend has taken care of most of the issues, but... I also don't have the inventory space. What was that? Ah. Not for much, anyway. Why can't I hold all these syllables? Merchant mode engaged. Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't advise that. Your, last buddies in spirit can attest to maybe not being especially wise in coming after the guy who can just kite you into bears. Maybe, you know, your mileage may vary. You would have sworn that was a collectible. Nice. Oh, I should probably actually get that mandrake root in my system. Yes. And out and in. Perfect. just slug down this route, and I am happy as can be. No shakes from me. Garfield on the scene. I think that's about all for the stuff I can loot without descending into the cavern. Man, I'm gonna have an infinite supply of Lady Smock leaves for the entire playthrough. I'm gonna get a memory leak just from the amount of Lady Smock leaves that I collect. Alright, and now on to Skingrad as we originally intended. What is that? Oh, it's a brigand. Are they low enough level that I can soothing touch them? So I can. In fact, can I keep doing that? I'd really like to level up illusion. Go ahead, buddy! I got your target right here. Yeah, have at. Go ahead. They absolutely whiff it with bears. I'm sure you'll be able to take them down. Never mind. Never put your faith in the goblins. At least not these kinds. Yep. Yep, might have just smashed my ribs in twain, but, Raw Savant Camp. What have we here? Another standing stone. Or is it maybe the same one? Let's find out. Nice! Away with that. Now we got some nice armor. Actually, yeah, it does drop my spell efficiency. I'll take that off then. Well, I guess I won't, never mind. Stuck with me for a while. Would also be nice to have some lore about those. I would go out of my way to read it as well on stream. A small building? Might that be worth investigating? And I keep seeing that Daedric sign over there. I wonder what that is. Ah, it's another... Oh, it's a way shrine? Be strong for war and fight evil. Pray at my chapel's altars to receive my blessings. Cool. I guess I got some of, Fist of Talos. Fortify strength 10, not bad. Yeah, got his blessing and everything. That'll be really handy for whenever I have to punch out some evil creature's might. I do find it funny that a Way Shrine of Talos is placed right next to a Daedric Shrine. Hello, fellas. How do we... Oh, just energying infinitely. You know how it goes.
I accept. I have no... You're full of... That's a bit excessive, don't you think? Not bad. Not bad at all. That's pretty... Whatever you want. No, not bad. You're full of it. A good one. That's a bit excessive. No more. Blah, blah, blah. What a bore. No more. You're frightening me. Yeah, don't be... You're full of it. Sure, that's cute. I'm not buying. Don't, please. I'm sorry.
Gotta find the pattern again.
Don't be silly. You're a... No more. You're frightening me. Sure, that's cute. Yes, I'm not buying that one. You're pathetic.
Yeah, what is it?
Blah, blah, blah.
Boast,
I
hate,
doubt you really mean
admire, hate,
Yeah, I get it.
joke, and,
Except I have no
chorus.
choice.
Okay.
That's pretty good. Blah. Yeah, that's a bit excessive. Not. No more. Don't be silly.
Sheesh.
Blah, blah, blah. No more. You're frightened. I'm not buying that one. That's pretty good. That's pretty.
Man, I am
pathetic.
severely out of practice with this.
No more. You're frightening. Good one. Don't be. No more.
There
You're
we
frightening.
go.
That's. Yeah. Was that? No more. You're frightening. That's. I accept. I have no choice.
There we
I
have it.
accept.
And I immediately flub it.
Sure, that's cute. That's no more. I'm not buying that one. I see. The
Alright.
spark of life is within you, and you are welcome here at Meridia's shrine. It is possible she will speak to you under certain conditions. Leave an offering at this shrine. Meridia demands tribute in the form of the remains of her enemies, the undead. What we do is perfectly legal. Others have no right to interfere. May the
Well,
lady guide your
I'll
steps.
happily just take some random
Life
person's
is a
remains.
blessing, and death is not the end, but only when the spirit remains incorruptible.
Okay. Thank you, Javolia Mabarel. What about you,
Things speak
Demetrius?
With the voice of life, even the bones of the earth. All things speak with a voice.
Alright, good to know. We got the bone speakers out here. Oh, okay, it's level capped, gotcha. Well, I know what to come looking for. She looks like she's in a... What is that? Is that supposed to be, kinda got this pattern going on with her hands. She looks like she's supposed to have a mighty big quarterstaff or some such that she's leaning on. Let's see if we can actually get to Skingrad sometime tonight. We are closing in at the 30-minute mark. Yeah. We'll try and keep this at the usual around 4 hours if we can get there. Someone needs to be soothed. Just asking for it. I'll hand you a giant cup of chamomile tea and tell you to sit down. Beware! Ah ha ha! Huh. There you go. You've been mild. And now off we go. Ah, another accursed mine. Wow, I'm glad it has that on the boilerplate. I'll check that out at some time. And apparently a self-igniting stone basin brazier. Forgot how big Skingrad is. You fought mud? That's wild. Oh, why me? I just walked up. Bruh. What's your issue, huh? Yeah, get ripped. Hey, I'm the pacifist here. I'm not fighting him. But I will absolutely aid, you know, the average citizen doing their business. Punch him out, lad. Punch him out. Oh, he's buggered up. I do have to step in. Protecting the defenseless. It's not in my... Oh, Sparking Touchtone. It's not in my name that I fight.
It is all in the nose. Yes, of course, it is also in the mouth. The fragrance, the sharp, startling odor, the sheep's cheese, ambrosia, nectar. Yes, I am the shepherd, Eurus, and it is my sheep and my deft hand and sharp nose which produce the glorious cheeses of Skingrad.
Okay. At least he's enthusiastic. I'll take that over Doomer mode. What's this?
I can show you some new things.
Oh, okay. In athletics, of all things? What you got?
Not now, not later, not... Sorry, I don't get it. I can't argue with that. Gracious, what I won't fight you. What a gracious... What nonsense. Great. You think... Don't waste your flattery on me. My life is That's just stupid. That... Not now, not later. Don't... I can't... That's just... What no... That's enough. Not... You... What a dumb joke. What... Gracious. What a hero. You've got a... Not now. Not later. Not ever.
Ah, yes, he hates the, admire.
That's amazing. What a... Don't... That's enough. You've got... My... Youth... Don't talk such rot. That's an... My life... That... Don't waste your flattery on me. You... Sorry. I don't get it. You've got... Such a... Don't talk... That's just stupid.
Let's do...
You've got a point. Gracious. That's... Not now.
All
not
right.
Later, not ever. That's... I salute you. Such adventure. That... Don't try to manipulate me. Sorry. You... My life is drab and wretched by... What a... You... Such adventures. How Sorry. I don't get it. That's enough. That's... Don't...
The most fascinating of mechanics.
Don't waste your flattery on me. You... That's...
I didn't need this for getting decent prices.
Sorry.
I wish there was a just to skip this without bribing.
Sorry. Such adventures. How I envy you. Not now. That's an... What a dumb joke.
Okay, cool.
Where can you get sheep's cheese but in Skingrad? And why? Because only in Skingrad is your ass, master of sheep's
Your
cheese.
ass.
I can also teach a bit of athletics. Why, you ask? Because I am the mountain sheep's brother, and I must dash with him from crag to crag.
What else, dude?
The Fighters Guild is recruiting again. Not a bad way to make some money, if you've got the stones for it. Goodbye.
Well, that was certainly something. Your ass, the master of cheese. And not just any cheese, goat's cheese. Or sheep's cheese, excuse me. Yeah, at least they'll let me load up on growth. That much is appreciable. Ah, finally my Daedric summoned armor is gone. I believe it runs on Conjuration too, which I am certainly not speccing anywhere close to.
I'm a fair-handed grapes and bows. Shamir, grower and trainer. But I suspect you want to shoot, not grow grapes. Am I right? Riemann Broder. He works Cyrodiil's vineyard. I work Tamika's vineyard. Riemann spent 20 years in the Legion, and he's an advanced marksman trainer.
Fair enough.
Assassinations. What else else is there to talk about? Perfectly planned and executed. The blades perfectly useless. A complete disaster.
If by the blades being completely...
How do you do?
Wow, what did I do to you? What do you crouch
Go
for?
ahead, please.
What'd I do?
Make it quick.
I got 32 appreciation with you.
Well done. Don't try to manipulate. Oh, that's great. That's just talk.
Okay, so boast and
Where'd you get
jokes.
that? Don't. Well, you're wasting your breath. I remark is that don't try to manipulate me. You. Oh, that's great. That's really. Don't. Well done. Oh, that's great. What none? That's just talk. Well done. You're wasting your. Oh, that's great. Don't try to manipulate me. Would you? What nonsense? That's just talk.
Let's do some of these.
Great. That works for me. Be seeing you.
Now that's a nice, much improved response. Despite him still creeping around.
I'm Tamika. We grow our own grapes and make fine wines.
Okie doke.
Oh, Glarthir's a bit out of his mind, I think. He's convinced everyone's out to get him. Skingrad's wines are the best in Tamriel. I invite you, try them for yourself. Here, it is perfect for grapes and perfect for wine. The sun and soil here are like my native Hammerfell, but the climate is milder and the rainfall more reliable.
And that's exactly why I lifted all of the grapes I could carry. And I shall continue to do so, indefinitely. I don't think I've heard that voice actress before, now that I think about it. But then again, maybe it's just that there aren't that many Redguard that I've seen throughout. That's such sharp relief for everything else here. Literally. Come to think of it, I might not have ever been through Skingrad.
I'm
How you
the
doing?
lead of Cyrodiil Brothers Vineyard. Gaston is my brother. From our vineyards come the finest wines in Tamriel. Yeah, well, in all honesty, no. But our wines are very good, and much cheaper than Tamika's very fine product, I assure you. Vigor the Cautious is responsible for enchanted item recharge at the Mages Guild. Good thing he's cautious. I'd hate to have something go wrong. Gaston and I make great wines, reasonably priced. Skingrad has two great vintners, Tamika and Cyrodiil. I'll never say a word against Tamika's wines. Take care.
Raymond Broder, retired archer, presently a grape grower for the Cyrodiils at your service. Are you looking for advanced training?
Nah, I'm good, man.
Some
How about the
things are just a
rumors?
bit off about Glarthir. Someone needs to keep an eye on him.
Okay, good to know.
I served as a Legion marksman for 20 years. I retired here to Skingrad, work in the vineyards, and supplement my income as an advanced trainer.
I would accept that as an explanation for why you were carrying a longbow on your back. Along with very, very thoroughly fletched arrows. I can't imagine plowing the fields all day and tending to some grapevines while wearing all of that. What have we here? Ginkgo leaf? Alright, I'll have that. Well, that looks like that's that. Alright, and finally into Skingrad. where I'm sure we will be assailed with many a variety of interactions.
What did I do to deserve this honor?
Anytime. You need to see Ugak if you want to buy a horse. She's inside.
I see.
I suppose Count Hasseldor keeps Skingrad running smoothly, but you hardly ever see the man. You too.
I'm sure that'll have absolute... Oh, they're closed. Don't mind me. Oh. What the hell? You were just working the fields, guy. Why did you come over here? To pickpocket, no less. He's gonna get ripped and torn. Don't run! No, stay in place. Calm down.
Stay away!
My dude's schmovin'. And in he goes. I suppose I follow. I'm glad they sorted out their differences. That was certainly something. What's up? Alright, well, be rude then.
Shum Groyarug is the butler in Castle Skingran. Who ever heard of an orc butler? Plus, he's in that
Racist.
orc social club. What a joke.
Damn, you got some terrible opinions.
Farewell.
Get the hell out of here.
What?
How about...
looking for?
where's the
Guilds
guilds?
are inside the north walls, to the west.
And how about the Grey
He's
Fox?
that thief that the Imperial Watch are always going on about. He likes to steal from rich folk.
Figures. And how about
Quite
rumors?
a bit about how to use a shield from Ambrose Can. Cost me a bit, but it was worth it.
I bet.
Be seeing you.
Interesting coat of arms. I wonder what that means. Or if it comes up even. Well, let's see. We're here at the West Gate. Man, they really did not put a lot of effort into, Oh, this store's unlocked.
Over here!
Yeah, what's up?
We can't talk here. Too public. Meet me behind the great chapel at midnight. Don't let anyone follow you. I'll make it worth your while.
Okay, fella. I'll meet you at the Great Chapel! Well, it's already 9:13. Where's this, Great Chapel? I guess I'll have to find that, and that'll be what I spend my time doing.
What is it?
Rude ass.
Yes.
No, that's more like it.
What's this about?
Everything and nothing. Need to hit up that shop soon. But what I was getting at earlier, they really didn't put terribly much effort. They paved the spaces between buildings. I guess you could. But they really didn't put terribly much effort into the look of this whole thing. Like, I get that, of course, it... What? Oh, the strength ran out. I get that there's only... Let me start that again. I understand that you have to scale things down in order to get world environments to really be usable. But scaling it down this much and then not making up for it with any kind of... Not making up for it with any kind of decor density. You're gonna end up, as this has so far, feeling very primitive, rather empty, and overall not a place you want to be at unless you're there for a distinct reason. Yeah, we'll do that. And damage health. Gonna make a killing on all these potions. And Feather will be more than happy. Well, I'll take Magicka Restore too, actually. I appreciate that carrots give you night eye. That's a nice little gesture, a nice little nod. Now, nothing for speed or magicka, I guess. A cure paralysis will be infinitely useful. What about lettuce? Lettuce leaf. It gives you resist. Oh no, I was looking at another one. Lucky lettuce, I guess. Cure poison is way too useful to spend on a lettuce potion. Another wart sprig, perhaps. I would really rather actually like some detect life spells, but I guess I already have that in, or potions, but I guess I already have that in spell form. No real loss there. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we'll do that. And then we'll do water breathing. Okay, now I shouldn't be quite so encumbered. A wee bit, but I bet... Let's see, what's the heaviest stuff I have here? That's mostly the, Yeah, I guess I'll get sloshed. No more potions right now. Yes. I guess ale and beer would be considered a potion. That does make sense. I'll bite. But it puts me in just the right space to get moving. Maybe grab some of these. And I'm over encumbered. Let's see. I guess I wouldn't have... Yeah. I got a ton of iron arrows. But that is a good sell. It would make good bulk. I'll get rid of the clogs. Had the dogs out. Never mind. Have my dogs out. And then we'll find some enchanted footwear or something on our way through. But I gotta find this great chapel first before the night's end. That'll probably be about the time to call it a night for the stream as well. Or I guess a morning more adequately. Well, that's a way out.
Anytime now.
I agree. Anytime now. Where is this great chapel? Damn, what a beautiful skybox. And it's animated, too. But didn't parse what that meant quickly enough. Westweald. The double bridges construction is an interesting one, I will say. I wonder how that came about. But where would we find the Great Chapel? Well, I say as I walk right up on it.
What is it?
I just had to empty out into the street properly. Hello,
Something I can help you
Dion.
with.
Yeah, let me actually charm you first.
Not now. You think that's... I won't
Okay,
fight
so
you.
coerce and
I salute
boast.
you.
Gonna be
Most
yours.
impressive. That's enough. What a dumb joke. My life is... You think... You've got a point. You've got a point. My life... What a dumb...
Sheesh.
What nonsense. You... Sorry. You win this... Gracious. You think... Don't waste your flattery on me. Don't... I won't fight you. That's just stupid. What a... Not... You win... My life is drab and wretched, but... That's just not funny. That's just... You win... That's amazing.
Yeah.
What a... You've got a point. That's just not funny. You think... You've... Such adventures. Don't... That's just not... Such... That's enough. I can't... What a dumb... What nonsense. You've got... Gracious. Don't try to that... You... Gracious.
Alright.
What a Glarthir? Total nutcase if you ask me, but he's never done anything yet that we could arrest him for. It's curious. Skingrad's people scarcely ever set eyes on the Count, but he's apparently loved and respected by all his subjects. Try our wines and cheeses and Salmo's sweet rolls. See the castle, but don't expect to see the Count. He doesn't mix with strangers.
Very well. Sounds like he doesn't mix with his own people either. Ah, so you're the one I was told to watch out for. Is this, close enough to midnight? Yes, 10:45. That will do. Okay, and the chapel doors are open as well. Thought I saw a little burrow hole there for a moment. Are you coming, buddy? I guess I could skip time forward. Yeah, let's do an hour. And then, once he tells us his spiel...
Ah, you came. You're sure you weren't followed? Good. I thought I could trust you. Nobody else in town. They're all in on it. All watching me. Well, yes, I need you to do something for me. I'll pay you gold. You like gold, don't you?
Now you're speaking my language. Lots of
Here's
gold.
my problem. I'm being followed. Watched. Marukotti selectives, maybe. Not sure. I'm a threat, you see, to their plans. I know too much. I need you to check out some people for me. The ones who are following me. Watch them. See where they go. Who they report to. Will you help me?
Yeah, why not?
Very good. You won't be sorry. I'll pay you well. Did I say that already? Let's start with Bernadette Penniless. Be outside my house at 6 a.m. You'll see her watching me. See where she goes and who she reports to. We'll meet here again tomorrow night. Oh, and never contact me in public. They're watching. They can't know you're helping me.
Well, considering you stood out on the street in the middle of the night and started proclaiming your intent to meet me here, I think it's a little too late for that already.
Her house is almost directly across the street from mine, southwest of the Great Chapel. Coincidence? I don't think so.
Have you, looked around at your square footage of this walled city? I don't think there's much other than being right across from one another, no matter where you are in Skingrad.
There's so much I could tell you. So many secrets. But then you'd be in danger too. It's best if we're not seen talking.
And being in a stone-clad, narrow, behind an obvious structure where people come and go in the midst of the night, with all that echo and speaking very loudly, that won't be a problem at all. Okay, Glarthir.
Remember,
I'll see you at 6.
6 a.m. Don't let her see you watching.
I won't, believe me. Well, as we close out the night and have our very interesting friend of Glarthir giving us his way as we await meeting him in the morning, and of course, a guard comes to see
A
us.
little bird told me that you've been asking around town about Glarthir, a resident eccentric. I'd like to know why.
No reason. Just curious.
Play it that way. Let me give you some friendly advice. Glarthir is crazy. Maybe harmless crazy. Maybe not. Don't get involved with him. If he asks you to do anything strange, you come see me first. Got it? Or any of the town guard. Let us handle it.
Oh, don't worry. He only asked me to stand outside of his house at 6 in the morning because he's getting gang stalked by his neighbors. I'm sure he expects one of these consortiums or agencies or what have you to come and, do the things that are unwelcome and unappreciated. But anyway, as we walk through with our pal Glarthir as his agent in our definitely not a necromancer's hood and robes, it is time to sign off for the day. And I think that I've, as I have been trending lately, said everything that there is to say insofar as my thoughts have developed on Oblivion. We're still in the early hours, of which there shall be many to come. And aside from trying to figure out how our scaling will work with our particular build and where we should have that set, a few minor critiques about the aesthetics on a very old game. It is what it is, really. There's not much more to it. So, let us come to our outroduction. And it crashed to desktop, as one should expect. I thank you all for joining us today. If you enjoyed our stream here and all of its contents, I hope that you find it worthwhile to give a little bit of feedback, a little bit of support in the form of sharing it to people who you think would also enjoy it, maybe subscribing if you would like to see more, and giving it a like or dislike depending on what you actually feel about it. If you want to get a steady feed of such content from the Threefold Manifold, you can find us at X, Twitter, Spotify, Instagram, BitChute, and the Threefold Edifactory on Discord, all linked in the description. Alongside, if you think it might be monetarily worthwhile to support, helping us improve, get better, and maybe even make this something a lot more frequent and higher quality, then there is a one-time donation link that you can find through Stream Elements, also in the description. Or if you want something a little bit more recurring, starting at $5, you can find us over at Patreon, also linked. And you can get some delightful features like participating in polls to help inform the direction and disposition of the channel. Get your name listed at the start or end, depending on what you prefer, of every long-form piece of content, like these streams. A few additional accesses and Patreon and level-dependent only access to rooms and voice channels in our Discord. And otherwise, my most permanent appreciation. But, without further ado, I hope that you all never miss your opportunities.